Hi everyone, it's V with Bees and Everything. Today I'm in my kitchen making some sugar syrup for my honeybees, and I want to show you how I make this and why and how I use it. So first of all, I'm going to need some sugar, and I'm really drawn to be using this natural unrefined sugar, but unfortunately it has some molasses content in it and bees cannot digest molasses. So really the best choice is to use just a plain white granulated sugar, and that's the only one I'm using for these purposes. Now let's talk about the ratios. So in the spring and early summer, bees are naturally expanding. They are drawing more comb so they can store more honey for them for the winter. And this is the best time to give them a ratio of 1 to 1, so 1 part of sugar to 1 part of water. And this really stimulates their wax glands to produce more wax. And this is important because bees really take a lot of resources to make wax. It's a really precious commodity. It takes about 8 pounds of honey for them to consume to make 1 pound of wax. So, and one medium super is about 2 pounds of wax. So you can imagine how many resources this really takes for them. And so in beekeeping, having drawn wax is basically like gold because the bees don't have to spend all these resources building the wax and they can start filling it in with the honey. So this is really one of the reasons I use sugar syrup. Um, and I really use it only for if I have any early splits, and if they're struggling, I will give them some sugar syrup. Or if I have any late swarms and they really don't have enough time to build up before winter, I will give them some sugar syrup. But if this is your first year, you're bringing your bees for the first time into your yard, and they don't have really any other drawn wax, they're basically starting from scratch. They have to build everything, right? So it's a really good idea that you will start feeding them 1 to 1 right away so they can really build a comb and start making their resources for the winter. The other time that you could use sugar syrup is in the fall. If you see that the bees don't have enough stores for the winter, you can give them a 2 to 1 ratio syrup. And this is more thicker. It's a 2 parts of sugar to 1 part of water. And it's thicker, and the bees will basically store it inside the comb as a honey. And we call this funny honey, which I think is pretty funny. And the only thing with that is I would only, recommend this as if you absolutely desperately need to use it. My thing about it is that the white sugar really doesn't have any added nutrition, whereas flower nectar will have all 20 amino acids. It has small amounts of lipids, antioxidants, protein, calcium, phosphate, vitamins, and essential oils. So really, I don't think it should be, just replaced by the sugar. So that's why when I'm harvesting honey for myself in the July, I really take less than I think I could. And I really make sure that the bees have their own natural honey for the winter to survive. And I think that's why I've been so successful overwintering these bees, just them having the nutritious, real honey. So let's go ahead and let's look at how I make this. So first of all, I have to heat up the water just a little bit, and this is just to help it dissolve better. And you never want to go too hot with the water because when sugar gets heated up too much, it makes this compound called hydroxymethylfurfural, say that 5 times, and it's really toxic to the bees and it can shorten their lifespan. So you never want to go too hot. And the best way to test this is just basically put your finger inside the water, and it should be really comfortable for your finger. Or you could also use a candy thermometer, and you don't want to go over 150 Fahrenheit. So now I would pour my sugar inside the warm water, and I want to stir it with my spoon really well until it completely dissolves. It should be just like this. It will look really see-through and just a light yellow color like this. And so now I will let it cool down completely to a room temperature, and then it's ready to serve. And what I use is these just regular, mason jars. standard size, and I will poke a couple holes in the lids from the top down so this doesn't hurt their little tongues. And really the perfect tool I found for this are these little pins. You could also use, thumbtacks or something small like this. It seems like it's really too small, but here is a little test you can do. If you make the holes too big, the syrup will just basically never stop flowing and it will just, pour out. So you can do a little test before you even put the syrup in the jars. Just put some water and test it out. If you go upside down, it should stop the flow in a couple seconds. As you can see, it will just drop, 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 and then it will stop dropping. So this way, it's not going to just pour on the bees and they will be able to go in and basically suck through those little holes. So how I apply this on the hive. First of all, I put on this inner cover. This has a little hole in the middle, and I will put this little feeder board over it. And as you can see, it's just a wire mesh, and then it has a little bee space on the bottom so the bees can crawl about, but they can't get out of the feeder board. So this is really nice because when you're putting the feeders on, you don't have to really open the whole hive. You don't even have to use your full suit. You can just open it, put them on. If you see that they're getting bad, if they have a little mold, you can just take them, empty them, and put a new one on. So it's really, really nice. I like it a lot. And now I would put a box over it. Unfortunately, I ran out of boxes. They're all in use. So I'm using these little vent shims. And you could use a medium box over it, but in that case, it's not going to really cover the full, the standard size jar. So what you could do is just put a little shim on top like this, little spacer shim that will cover it completely so you can put the lid on top like this and close them up. Alternatively, you could also use a smaller jar like this, a little smaller jar, or you could use a deep box instead of the medium box that would completely cover it. And the one last thing I want to tell you is that this syrup cannot be used if the outside temperatures are below 50 Fahrenheit. And that's because that's when the sugar syrup will start to crystallize and the bees will not be able to use it. So there you have it. That's all about sugar syrup. Happy beekeeping. Thanks for watching.